So we have the Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting taking place right now. And of course, one of the big topics that the countries in the SCO are discussing and that they're trying to deal with because they are directly influenced by what's going on there is Afghanistan. Because in the SCO, you do have countries that are very close to Afghanistan, that are bordering Afghanistan, and that now have to deal with the fallout from Biden's debacle in Afghanistan. And Russian President Vladimir Putin, in his speech at the SCO yesterday, came out with some very, very strong words against Biden, the United States, and the Afghanistan pullout debacle. The title from Zero Hedge says, U.S. exit from Afghanistan, more like a downright escape. Others are left cleaning up the mess. And I'll play the video of Putin and his speech. It is in Russian. It's about 20 seconds long, but in the speech, Putin says the reconstruction of Afghanistan should be funded by the U.S. and other NATO countries. They bear direct responsibility for the horrible situation in the country after the conclusion of a long military occupation. That is what Putin said. He really laid into the Biden White House and into NATO.
Основную долю расходов, связанных с постконфликтным восстановлением Афганистана, должны взять на себя именно Соединенные Штаты, страны НАТО, которые, это очевидная вещь, несут прямую ответственность за упоминавшиеся мною ранее тяжелые последствия своего многолетнего присутствия в этой стране.
Putin also said in the speech that is not in the video that I just played, he said, the urgent task facing our organization is to pursue a single and coordinated policy on the assessment of serious risks related to the mounting tensions in Afghanistan, and listen to this line, following the hasty withdrawal or more like a downright escape by the US and NATO troops from the country. Those are some really strong words, following the hasty withdrawal or more like a downright escape by US and NATO troops from the country. That is what Putin said in his speech. Zero Hedge says the scathing and sarcastic words of criticism come as the Eurasian allies discuss the deteriorating security situation at the borders of SCO members, Pakistan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. The latter two countries Russia has been cooperating with militarily to ensure secured borders after both civilians and Afghan national forces abandoning their posts fled towards Tajikistan in particular. Additionally, there was widespread reports that dozens of U.S.-trained pilots flew their aircraft into Uzbekistan, and the U.S. will reportedly give them asylum. And there are still U.S. citizens in Afghanistan to this day that have not gotten out. And no one is talking about it. And the Biden White House doesn't address it. And Secretary of State Blinken hasn't addressed it. To this day, there are still Americans stuck in Afghanistan. Think about that. American citizens are in Afghanistan. People that helped the U.S. military are stuck in Afghanistan. Boy, does the media really give the Biden White House a pass. They really do. Putin also said in the statement that the U.S. and NATO cannot shirk responsibility in providing reconstruction aid. Putin essentially said that the West broke Afghanistan and now must step up in terms of assisting in reconstruction, which would mean sending aid to the Taliban. Ironically enough. Exactly right. The U.S. broke Afghanistan. 20 years, they leave the country broken. And now Putin is saying you have to give them money for reconstruction, which means the U.S. is going to give money to the Taliban. And we had Jake Sullivan, when all of this stuff broke out, Jake Sullivan went on to, I believe it was CNN or MSNBC, and actually said that, yes, the U.S. government is speaking with the Taliban in order to give them some sort of monetary financial aid. So that is in the works. That is going to happen, I believe. I don't know how much money it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be enough to help reconstruct Afghanistan. I doubt it. But the U.S. is going to pay something, right? Now, this is not the first time Putin has criticized NATO and the United States for their actions in Afghanistan and what happened in Afghanistan in August. Putin was speaking to the BRICS nations, the BRICS leaders, earlier this month, and he said the following: I have said many times that the current crisis in Afghanistan is a direct consequence of irresponsible attempts to impose alien values from the outside and the desire to build so-called democratic structures by political engineering, which takes into account neither historical nor national characteristics of other nations. In other words, what Putin said last month when all of this was going down, a few weeks ago when all this was going down to BRICS leaders, Putin was saying, you guys tried to make this woke dream, this neoliberal woke ideology dream, a reality in Afghanistan, and you failed. You failed miserably. Your nation building, your woke, neoliberal nation building is a failure. And that is what Putin called them out on a month ago. And now he's coming to the SCO nations and he's pretty much saying the US better pay money for reconstruction. They should pay money to reconstruct Afghanistan. Give money to the Taliban. They already left $90 billion in weapons. Now cough up some money to help rebuild the country, and that this was a downright escape. This was an escape by US and NATO troops from the country. And so it should come as no surprise that the Russian president is lashing out at the United States and at NATO, and he is making the most of the debacle, the Biden White House and the NATO debacle in Afghanistan. I remember when Obama was president and he was making a mess of the Middle East, and Putin would come in and he would always outdo him in the Middle East, and he would always be one step ahead of Obama in the Middle East. So Obama would make a mess of things, and then Putin would come in and he'd clean things up, and Obama would look stupid and silly. And that's how things would go throughout all the 8 years of Obama's presidency. And I remember the going meme was Putin is playing chess and Obama is playing checkers, right? Well, I saw a comment on Zero Hedge at the end of this article which says that Putin plays chess, Biden plays with Legos. And I think that pretty much sums it up pretty well. And so that is the video, the Duran.locals.com, ODYSEE, BitChute, Super U, and Rumble. You will find all our videos there as well. And go to the Duran shop, 10% off. Use the code REALNEWS. Take care.